Today we're going to be taking a look at a set that I honestly thought would never be made, that being 75404 Acclamator-class Assault Ship. This set just released on January 1st with 450 pieces and a retail price of $50 US, which is very overpriced, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. Right now I want to talk about how I'm just surprised that we actually have an Acclamator now. For years, this ship has been requested by a fairly niche group of people within the LEGO fanbase, and I can't lie, I was definitely one of them, but I just always assumed LEGO kind of ignored this or didn't acknowledge it and that it wouldn't ever be made. But now in 2025, we actually have one in mini-scale form. I always find myself going back to this interview that Solid Brick Studios did with the LEGO Star Wars design team back in like 2023, I believe. And in that interview, or panel, whatever you want to call it, one of the designers does explain that they are aware of what the fan base wants and the sets we are requesting. And at the time of that video's release, that was a bit hard to believe. But fast forward to 2025, we have a new ARC 170 and this Acclamator. And despite these sets definitely not being perfect, it does show that there actually is a bit of a weight to the words he said in that interview, and that LEGO is kind of going in the right direction of sets that the fan base actually wants and requests. But enough talk about that stuff, let's actually take a look at this set itself. On the back of the box, you're going to see another render of the build, as well as some dimensions in the bottom right corner, and then a picture of the Acclamator from episode 2 on the bottom left corner. Opening up the box and digging in, on the inside you're going to find just 4 numbered bags, as well as your instruction manual, and surprisingly no sticker sheet, which is very nice. And since this is an 18+ set, inside the instruction manual in the first few pages, you're going to find some cool information about the ship in Star Wars, with lots of cool facts that you can pause and read if you want to, and then straight from there you're going to go into your build process. And also, while you're building, on one of the pages there is this little paragraph that pops up at the bottom that's just some more information about the ship that you can pause and read if you want to. Now unfortunately there are no minifigures in this set, so jumping straight into the build, I have to say it looks really good. I like this a lot, but man, it is tiny. Here it is compared to the midi-scale invisible hand that released in March of 2024 that also retails for $50 US, and clearly they have different shapes, but as you can tell, the invisible hand is just a bit of a bigger and beefier build. It feels like it's more worth its price. And then also on top of that, it also has 100 more pieces than the Acclamator, yet they're both the same price. And again, they have vastly different shapes, but when you have the builds in person, you can tell that the invisible hand just feels like it's closer to being worth its price point. And this is very disappointing because I really like this build, but it just should not be more than $40. $50 is too much. And it sucks because I can't ignore this. I'm gonna have to take points off for it being overpriced. And if you would ask me last year, I wouldn't have thought that these mini-scale sets needed minifigures, but since LEGO has once again slightly pushed the envelope of these retail prices, I think for what they're charging us, an exclusive minifigure is needed. Just a simple phase 1 clone trooper like you see here would have worked wonders for this set. It probably would have made a lot more people buy it too. Again, if you would have asked me back in March of 2024 with the mini-scale sets that released then, I would have said that I didn't care that they don't have minifigures, because my thought process was, well, the original mini-scale sets from 2009 and 2010 didn't have figures, so I didn't really care that these ones didn't. But LEGO has raised the price once again, so a figure is needed at least, or make it cheaper. But enough talk about the price, let's actually focus on the build now, and like I said earlier, I like it a lot. The first thing you'll notice is that they went with the Clone Wars version of the Acclamator, the one with the red stripes, and this was the obvious right choice because the ones for episode 2 are cool, but the all gray is just pretty bland and I think it wouldn't look great as a LEGO set, so I'm very happy they went with the Clone Wars one because it looks great and all these pieces are printed. Although one thing that might annoy some people is that the red on the prints is actually slightly darker than the red from the brick-built stripe that goes down the middle. It's not super noticeable, but it is there and it might bother people, but I don't really think it's a big deal. Speaking of the stripe that goes down the middle though, I think LEGO did a great job with the technique they used, all the way to the very front where you're gonna find just 2 little gray pieces that add some detail. The bridge is very simple, but LEGO did a great job on it. It's just as accurate as it needs to be and represents the bridge of an Acclamator very well, and even the small area at the bottom that slopes up to the bridge is very good too. It's really just some simple slope pieces, but it communicates the look very well. The engines are probably my favorite part of this build. There's only 4 of them, but I think they look really good, and honestly just this whole back area in general looks really good with the fin sticking out and everything. I like how they were able to fit this much detail into this relatively small area, and again, like I said, those engines just look great. There's also some detail and shaping on the bottom of the ship as well. On the front there's not a whole lot going on, but it is surprisingly accurate to how Acclamators actually look on their bottom side. And then around to the back side of the bottom is where you're going to find the only functionality within this set, and that's the big hangar bay doors that can fold down, and on the inside you're going to see some little white studs that are supposed to represent some clone troopers. This is a great feature that I'm glad LEGO included because it's just fun to play with and the functionality is interesting. Although as you can see, there are those bright green and orange Technic pieces that show through when you open these up. I mean, it's definitely a nitpick on my part because they are covered up. It's not like anyone is looking at the bottom side of this thing, but it would have been kind of nice if they were maybe gray or black. But then from there you can just very easily fold these hangar bay doors back up, and if you're wondering what the stand stand looks like, I mean, it's just your basic MIDI scale stand. It's sleek and simple and looks good with the printed plaque on the front, and there's no special way that it connects to the actual build. It just uses some inverted studs. Like I said earlier, I like this build a lot. It's pretty much perfect in my eyes. There are a few nitpicks I had here and there, so if I had to rate the build alone, I'd probably give it like a 9.8 out of 10, but for the set as a whole, including the price point, it is overpriced. I don't think it should be more than $40. I think most people could agree on that. So sadly, just because of the price, I'm gonna take 2 points off and give it an 8 out of 10. If it was reasonably priced at $40, I could see myself giving this at least a 9.5, maybe even a 10 out of 10, but no, the price ruined it once again. And if you're someone that doesn't own any of the MIDI scale sets and wants to get one, unless you can find this on sale, I would just pass on it. The Invisible Hand or even the Millennium Falcon from last year are way better options. So let me know what you guys think about this set down in the comments below. If you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more of my videos, you see on the screen right now.